There is a moment in every athlete's career when the numbers stop telling the whole story. And what you're about to hear is exactly that kind of moment. Because a 21-year-old from the Philippines just walked into the biggest tennis stadium in the world, and the man running the entire tournament basically handed her the keys before she'd hit a single ball. We're talking about Flushing Meadows. We're talking about the U.S. Open. And we're talking about Alex Eala, a name that a couple of years ago most casual tennis fans wouldn't have recognized. And now it's a name that sells out arenas from Toronto to Cincinnati, and has organizers in New York rearranging their entire marketing plan around her. So let's rewind a little and figure out how we got here. Because the road to this moment says almost as much about Eala as anything she's done on court this year. Back in November of last year, the United States Tennis Association handed the keys to the U.S. Open over to a new tournament director, a guy named Eric Butorac, a former top 20 doubles player who spent years as president of the ADP Player Council before stepping into the business side of the sport. He took over from Stacey Aulaster, who had run the tournament for years and was shifting into an advisory role, and Butorac inherited a tournament that was already the richest in tennis history. But he also inherited something else, a front row seat to one of the fastest rising stories the sport has seen in a long time. And that story is Eala. By the time the U.S. Open rolled around this August, Butorac wasn't just overseeing logistics. He was actively building moments around the players who were pulling crowds through the gates, and nobody was pulling crowds quite like this 21-year-old from the Philippines. So here's where the numbers come in, and stick with me because they're wild. Just by making the main draw of the U.S. Open, Eala is guaranteed a six-figure payday, somewhere in the neighborhood of $140,000, and that's before she even steps on the court. That's simply the price of admission for reaching the final Grand Slam of the year as a ranked professional. To put that in perspective, the U.S. Open this year raised its total prize pool to $18 million, a jump of roughly 20% from the year before, making it the richest prize pool in the history of Grand Slam tennis. And the women's singles champion this year is set to walk away with $5.5 million. So Eala's guaranteed first round money is a fraction of the top prize. Sure, but for a player who not that long ago was grinding through qualifying rounds just trying to get into these tournaments, banking six figures before her first match is a signal of how far she's come and how fast. And it doesn't stop at the guarantee. If she matches or beats what she did here last year, which was reaching the second round, her total jumps up significantly. And as she keeps winning from there, the numbers climb fast, third round, fourth round. Each step forward adding real, life-changing money on top of what she's already locked in. But the singles draw isn't even the headline here, because the announcement that actually broke the internet wasn't about Eala's ranking or her seeding. It was about who she's playing mixed doubles with. Butorac and the USTA handed out wildcard entries into the revamped mixed doubles event, and one of those wildcards went to Eala, paired up with Canadian star Felix Auger-Aliassime, the world number 4 in men's singles. Now, if you don't follow tennis closely, you might not immediately clock how big of a deal that is. So let me break it down. Auger-Aliassime isn't some journeyman looking for a doubles paycheck. He's a legitimate top 5 singles player, a 2-time Grand Slam semifinalist, an Olympic bronze medalist in the Paris Games, and someone who has spent his career being a guy other players get excited to team up with. And now he's the one saying, essentially, that he can't wait to find out what it feels like to walk out with Eala's fan base behind him. He told Tennis Channel that it's a strange feeling knowing she's younger than him, but she's the one carrying the crowd, and honestly, that quote alone tells you everything about where Eala's popularity has landed in this sport right now. Their partnership didn't come out of nowhere either. There's real history underneath it. Both players share the same management agency, and both have deep roots at the Rafael Nadal Academy in Mallorca, where Eala trained during her formative years, and where Auger-Aliassime spent time working with Tony Nadal on his coaching team. So when the pairing came together, it wasn't some random marketing stunt. It was built on years of overlapping paths finally intersecting at the biggest stage in the sport. And the mixed doubles field this year is absolutely loaded. We're talking about Novak Djokovic teaming up with world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka. We're talking about defending champion Sara Errani and Andrea Vavasori looking to go back-to-back. We're talking about Elena Rybakina and Taylor Fritz, Iga Swiatek and Casper Ruud, Belinda Bencic and Flavio Kobali. This is not a watered-down exhibition. This is a stacked, competitive field with some of the biggest names in the sport. And yet, Despite all of that star power, Oliver Aliasheim came right out and said he expects him and Eala to be the fan favorites walking into every match, which is a wild thing to hear a top 5 singles player admit about his doubles partner. Now, let's talk about why that's not just hype, because the numbers back it up in a way that's honestly kind of remarkable for a player this early in her career. Go back to the Canadian Open in Toronto earlier this summer, and you'll find Eala's matches selling out a 12,500-seat stadium every single time she walked on court, with fans showing up in costumes referencing the city's NBA team just to celebrate her being there. Head down to Cincinnati, and organizers reportedly had to raise ticket prices for her matches, and the crowd still didn't thin out. This is the kind of drawing power tournaments dream about, the kind that turns a random Tuesday afternoon match into appointment viewing. And it's exactly why Butorac made the call he did heading into New York. He'd already watched this phenomenon reshape 2 other tournaments this summer, and he wasn't about to let the U.S. Open be an afterthought in that story. Let's step back for a second and talk about the season Eala has actually put together, because the numbers on paper are genuinely one of the best breakout stories in tennis this year. She's climbed to a career-high ranking, the highest any Filipino player, man or woman, has ever reached in the history of the sport. She picked up her first career WTA title this season, becoming the first player from the Philippines to ever win a tour-level event. And that alone would have been the story of her year in most seasons. But then she kept going, reaching deep rounds in Miami, making a run at Wimbledon that pushed her into the second week of a Grand Slam for the first time, and stacking up results across the summer hard court swing that kept her name in headlines from Washington to Toronto to Cincinnati. Her career prize money has now crossed the $3 million mark, which is a significant milestone for any player still this early in professional career, and every deep run from here adds meaningfully to that total. And look, none of this happened by accident, and it definitely didn't happen overnight. If you rewind just over a year, Eala was still fighting through qualifying rounds trying to punch her ticket into these same Grand Slam main draws she's now guaranteed a spot in. That's the part of this story that hits different when you actually sit with it, because we're not talking about a manufactured star who got hyped up by a marketing department. We're talking about a player who genuinely climbed her way up through results, match by match, tournament by tournament, until the sport's biggest stage had no choice but to build a spotlight around her. So back to Butorac's announcement, because that's really the thread tying this whole story together. When he confirmed Eala's spot in the mixed doubles draw alongside Oliver Aliasheim, he wasn't just filling out a wild card slot. He was making a statement about where he sees the future of the tournament heading, and about who he believes is going to define this era of the U.S. Open. He's someone who spent years inside the locker room as a player himself, someone who understands what actually connects with fans versus what just looks good on paper. And his read on this situation is that Eala isn't just a nice story, she's a story. The mixed doubles event itself runs over 2 days at the Billie Jean King National Tennis Center, with the opening rounds and quarterfinals happening on one day and the semifinals and final wrapping up the next, and Eala's schedule around that stretch is packed. She's also set to appear in a charity exhibition later in the tournament alongside several other rising stars, supporting a cause connected to sustainability efforts in the sport. It's a lot of tennis crammed into a short window, but if her summer has taught us anything, it's that she thrives when the stage gets bigger, not smaller. And through all of this, what's actually striking is how grounded Eala sounds when she talks about it. She's described the whole experience as heavy at times and genuinely fun at other times. And she's been open about the fact that she knows how surreal this all is. A kid who was fighting through qualifiers not that long ago, now anchoring marketing plans for the biggest tournament in tennis. When she won in Toronto and the crowds went wild for her, she made a point of thanking her fellow Filipinos directly, switching into Tagalog to do it, making it clear that for her, home isn't a place on a map, it's the people who've been in her corner this whole time. That kind of connection with a fan base is exactly the thing you can't manufacture through marketing, and it's exactly the thing Butorac is clearly betting on as he reshapes how this tournament presents itself to the world. So, where does this leave us heading into the tournament proper? Eala walks into New York with a guaranteed payday locked in before her first match, a marquee mixed doubles partnership with one of the top players in men's tennis, a fan base that has already proven it can fill stadiums on 3 continents this summer alone, and a tournament director who has publicly staked part of his opening year in a job on her being one of the defining storylines of the entire event. That's an enormous amount of pressure to carry into any tournament. let alone the last Grand Slam of the year. But if her results over the past 12 months are any indication, pressure has had a strange habit of turning into fuel for her rather than a burden. The real question now isn't whether people can show up and watch, because that part's already been answered by 3 different cities this summer. The real question is how far she can actually go once the matches start. Whether the mixed doubles partnership with Alex Eala turns into a genuine title run against a field that includes Djokovic and Sabalenka, and whether her singles campaign can build on the career-high ranking she's carrying into New York. Because right now, on paper, in ticket sales and prize money projections, and in the words of one of the top players in men's tennis, the Eala effect has fully arrived in Flushing Meadows, and Eric Butorac is betting his first Grand Slam as tournament director on it paying off in a big way. So that's where things stand heading into the tournament. A 21-year-old from the Philippines carrying the weight of an entire tournament's marketing plan on her shoulders, and doing it with a level of composure that honestly makes you forget how young she actually is. Whether she goes deep in singles, whether that mixed doubles run with Auger Aliassime turns into something special, or whether the pressure of this moment becomes too much even for someone with her track record, we're about to find out over the next couple of weeks. And if this summer has told us anything, betting against her right now would be a mistake. What do you think happens for Alex Eala at this U.S. Open? Does she make the kind of run that justifies all of this hype? Or does the pressure of being the centerpiece finally catch up with her? Drop your prediction in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, stick around because there's a lot more tennis drama worth digging into this season.